Hello, everyone. This is Lenard De Guzman with Emily Robinson on the Modern Divorce Podcast. We're here October 25th, 2021. It's actually rainy in LA, which is like, doesn't really happen. Like, how many days do you think it rains in LA
Gosh, I
a
don't know,
year?
maybe like 5 or something. It does not rain much here.
Yeah, so we get one of these rainy days. So rainy days, like what comes up like in divorce, or does it even have? 'Cause it's so rare. It's like 5 days out of the year. People probably don't know what to do. Parents are like, "Oh my God, I mean, what's the situation like?" Are people in better mood like going into court, or how does this all work out?
I don't know. I'll tell you later today when I go to court. No, but I mean, I think because like we're so not used to rain, anytime it rains, people are like, "Oh my gosh, it's raining." And I think they think like, "Oh, is court going to be canceled?" I mean, because we just like our whole world stops when it rains because nobody's used to it.
And then on
But
top
no,
of
I
it,
mean, but in
okay.
real life, nothing really changes.
So I imagine people are a little more grumpy because, like in LA, you're probably late to court already, and then this on top of it, so you're probably getting calls from clients. "Hey, I'm going to be late.
I know
Can you
you have
stall
this
a little bit?"
this on top of the normal traffic, exactly. But then the funny part is I think judges are like pretty understanding about it because like nobody knows how to drive here in the rain. It's that's here the rain is like weird. Like I saw it was like a giant storm is coming and said we're gonna get like an inch of rain. I was like, wow, but that is a big storm here.
I mean, I think there's like a state of emergency in California, so it gets a little bit like an inch of water. So we'll see.
But it but in seriousness, I think it is dangerous for the burn areas. So I see why that could be an issue.
All right, so let's get into the show here. So this part of the show, we go over trends that we see on Google, what's going on with divorce, what things come up. A lot of the time, celebrities come up, things like pop up like finances and divorce, child custody. So today is the famous Robert De Niro.
Oh,
What? Yeah, you got a favorite Robert De Niro movie?
oh gosh, I love Robert De Niro. I don't know. There's so many. Ah, I don't even know which would be my favorite. What's yours?
The first time and my favorite was when he was in Godfather. I don't know if you remember, like it was like the first one. They do the flashback where the kind of the he might be the patriarch of the family, but I was this like that's like a vintage classic Robert De Niro. I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember because I haven't seen it in so long. But there was this comedy he was in like a while back that I loved, and I can't think of what it is off the
I
top of
know,
my
I
head.
know, I know which one it was. It was Meet the Parents or Meet the
Oh,
Fockers, I
well,
think.
I love that one, but that's not the one I'm
That was the
thinking of.
one.
It was something else. But I do love Meet the Parents too. That's a good one.
All right, we'll figure it out. We'll remember it after probably this. Okay, so he's going through a thing right now. So Robert De Niro won't have to shell out 500 million in his divorce settlement case. So this is according to Yahoo, and I saw this also too with other news publications. So Robert De Niro won't have to shell out a ton of cash to his estranged wife, Grace Hightower, in their ongoing divorce settlement, according to the Atlanta Black Star. A judge recently denied Hightower's request to be rewarded with cash stemming from the Hollywood actor's fortune at estimated $500 million to be exact. The
Wow.
Godfather star has amassed millions not only from his lengthy acting career, but he also has invested cash into a bevy of well-known restaurants and businesses across New York City, including the Tribeca Bar and Grill and the Greenwich Hotel. The husband's income earned during the marriage and other business assets acquired during that time are a separate property, the court ruling stated. Hightower won't be walking away from the split totally empty-handed. De Niro will have to cough up 100 million a year in alimony to his ex-wife, but that's as long as she doesn't remarry until either she or the 71-year-old celeb passes, according to the report. He also gives Hightower $6 million towards the purchase of a new home. Let's see, the former couple had previously been married 24 years following their rocky divorce battle that began in 2018. Sources close to Niro say that the actress's controlling ways prompted their contentious split. So there's a lot of moving parts here, right? So what comes up in your mind?
Wow. Did you say $100 million a year of alimony?
I said one. It said 1 million.
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
I thought you said 100 million. I was like, I don't think I've even ever seen a case with that much alimony, but that's still, it's a pretty nice living, $1 million a year that you don't pay any state taxes on if you're in California. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm sorry, you do pay state taxes. You don't pay federal taxes on it. If you're in California, you pay state taxes, but still you're not paying federal. Yeah, that's crazy. Gosh, these celebrity divorces, the amount of like what they have to give their spouse is like inconceivable to most people. But it's all relative. It's based on what you earn. So, you know, it's fair if you're worth $500 million. And it's funny when they say, well, he only has to pay her as long as she doesn't remarry. Who's going to remarry if they're getting $1 million a year? I mean, of course you're not going to remarry. So a lot of people suggest that it should also end when you cohabitate, because a lot of people just live with a new significant other forever. Because why are you going to get married if you're going to lose $1 million a year? So that's one like kind of loophole in the law that, you know, of course, people are going to take advantage of.
Or like he could fake his death. I don't know.
It's true. If he dies, he doesn't have to pay her anymore.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't follow him to the next life. All right.
No, usually not.
So let's see. The next one is from thecut.com. I don't know who I am after my divorce. A few months ago, my husband of 6 years and I divorced. I've known him forever. I ran to him right after high school and never looked back. Just before we got married, I realized I wasn't cisgender. I'm mispronouncing it probably. I took the label of non-binary, but was hesitant to experiment with my gender presentation in any way that might put off my very straight husband, who I love very much. After a small trial period of presenting somewhat masculinity and realizing it was a turnoff for him, I convinced myself I was happy to present most femininely while still identifying as non-binary. The pandemic proved to both of us that this was not sustainable. I was stifling myself on purpose, and despite my every attempt to hide it, my now ex could see I was unhappy. I brought up the topic of divorce at the start of 2021, and after many tearful discussions, we agreed it was for the best that we part. We were still good friends, and he encourages me in every way, in every facet of my new life. The problem I'm facing now is I think that I don't know who this new me is, this new me who isn't married, whose identity isn't so tied up in another person that I can't tell where he ends and I begin. Who are they? I guess I don't know how to be me without someone else to ground me. So this seems, pretty common among, I imagine if you're with someone for so long, you kind of like, I guess, merge into like mind merge. I know my wife and I, sometimes we finish each other's sentences. It's probably a thing where people go through a post-divorce and the identity is like, you have to start over.
Yeah. I think it's very common. A big part of your identity is being married and being a couple and having that relationship with the other person. And when you're married, it's hard and you got to work on it and you have to modify, some of your interests to meet what it is that your spouse wants, and they have to modify their interests to meet what you want. So suddenly having that change can feel like a big loss of your own identity. So I completely understand that. I think it's a very normal feeling. And again, I know I say this all the time, but that's where therapy and divorce support groups can really come in and to help.
All right, so this one, Investopedia, like remember encyclopedias?
Yeah.
Gosh. So this is from them, Investopedia, so how the divorce process works. So key takeaways here is, I like this because there's a few objective numbers here, and we could see if they're correct or not. So on average, it takes about 12 months to complete a divorce, from filing the divorce petition to finalizing the judgment. If the case goes to trial, the average time is about 18 months. The average cost of divorce in 2019 was $12,900, which includes $11,300 in attorney fees and about $1,600 in other expenses. Costs are generally higher when spouses cannot agree and the case goes to trial. An experienced family law attorney can help your rights and responsibilities and help you navigate the divorce process. All states offer a form of no fault divorce, but you still need to file based on legal grounds. So step one is file the divorce petition. Step two, request temporary court orders. As a tip here, you can apply for a temporary order when you file for divorce. If you didn't request a temporary order when you filed for divorce, it's best to apply as soon as possible. Step three is to file proof of service. So this is important. It says that if your spouse retained an attorney, the paperwork can be delivered to that attorney's office. This can be a good thing, a good option if your spouse is actively evading receipt of the documents. Number four is negotiate a settlement. Step five is go to trial if necessary. Step six is finalize the judgment. And here is bottom line is divorce can be emotionally and financially draining, whether a mutual decision or a surprise move. Understanding the tips or the steps involved in the case can make the process a little easier. And they go into like what's the difference between a marital property and separate property. It's a lot. I'm throwing a lot at you. What's the difference between the community property and common law property? So yeah, let's go over a few of those.
Yeah, so the only thing I don't really agree with in there is that you don't need necessarily to get temporary orders. That's, some people need them, but not every case needs them. Some cases there isn't something you need temporary orders on, or you have an agreement. So, if you can't agree on spousal support or child support or custody, those are typically the things you need temporary orders on. But if things are going well, you may not, or if those issues don't pertain to your case. As far as the legal reason for divorce, in California, most of the time, it's just irreconcilable differences. And you don't have to say what they are or what caused them. You just check a box that says irreconcilable differences. And then common law is different than community property. They're just different types of law, like systems. So here in California, we use community property, but other states and other countries use very different types of law. So you have to go by the state that you're in.
Forbes. It seems like they have, like, you could tell with the articles that are written, their demo. So Forbes, they're like kind of like old school. They've been around forever, so you could tell. Like, so this one is a comprehensive guide to Social Security after divorce. Like, I wouldn't really. I mean, I'd read the headline, but I'm sure there's some 60-year-olds who listen to the podcast. They're going to listen to. It's on YouTube anyway. My dad is, and he's going to be 70. So here we go. So comprehensive guide to Social Security after divorce. Since Social Security benefits can make a difference in your cash flow and income in retirement, it's worthwhile to understand how this important benefit works. If you're divorced after being married at least 10 years, you can claim Social Security benefits on your ex-spouse's work record. If you've been married less than 10 years, you cannot claim any Social Security based on your ex-spouse's work history. So it's critical you don't finalize a divorce after 9 years of marriage without seriously thinking through the consequences. So a few highlights here. There's no decisions to make or filing requirements during the divorce. The benefits are determined by the Social Security Administration when you get to 62. So this is a rare financial issue. You can put it off thinking about it until well after the divorce is finalized. If you are younger than 62, no court order is necessary. All you need is proof you're married for at least 10 years and proof you're now divorced. Your former spouse's benefits are not affected at all by claim. They don't even have to know you're filing on their work history. Benefits will be received while your ex-spouse is alive as well as after they die. So the question is, will Social Security exist like when we turn 62?
I know, right? And we don't know the answer to that. But Social Security is governed by federal law. So yeah, I mean, that's accurate. When we're doing your divorce in California, we can't control anything about Social Security or make any agreements about Social Security because it's just going to follow federal law, and anything we put in a California divorce would not be valid. It has to go by whatever the feds say.
So yeah, I'll have to think about that a couple decades from now.
I know, right?
Who knows? Maybe it'll like they'll make it like to where people can get the benefits in the 50s, but or maybe they'll push it back. We'll see. So let's get into the part of the show where we call Dear Emily, and we ask Emily about certain divorce topics, whether someone's in the process of starting the divorce process, whether they're having problems with children and child custody, or even dividing assets. So let's get to the first one here. So this is a child custody one. So my daughter keeps saying she wants to live with me, but there's nothing I can do. Lately, my 5-year-old daughter keeps having some breakdowns where all she wants to do is say that she wants to live with me and does not want to go live with mommy. It kills me because I would love for her to live with me, but as the courts have determined, the mother's the primary custodian, and I know she would not relinquish these rights. I'm not sure what I could do for my 5-year-old. I explained to her that maybe when she's older, she can continue, she can come and live with me, but she has to live with mommy as she needs to continue school. However, she also always cries the nights I have to drop her off, saying how she misses me and she's scared she won't see me again. I'm thinking I probably need to have her see some type of therapist just to help with this transition, but I'm not sure what else to do. Do you have any good advice? Here's some background. Her mother and I have been separated and divorced. And divorced when she was 2 years old. So these living arrangements, it's not something that just happened recently.
That's hard. I mean, these custody things are always really hard. I think in these situations, you got to find a common ground where the two parents can get on a schedule that they both can accept. And sometimes that can be done through going through a mediator or a co-parenting therapist or a parenting counselor to come up with a good schedule. And especially with little kids who, they have trouble transitioning back and forth. It's hard for all of them. And they have to get used to it, and they're going to cry going back and forth. That's totally normal. But if you can get with a really good co-parenting therapist or marriage family therapist, I think that can really help work through a lot of the issues that can help the parties come up with a good schedule.
Man, we are covering so many topics. We only have room for one more post here. So this one is a getting started one. Divorce because love is gone. Has anyone asked for divorce because you no longer live with your spouse? We've been together for 13 years and I'm married. I no longer love him. He's an amazing father and a great person, but I'm not in love with him. I feel like I've settled. When I was younger, I was afraid to be alone, and he would stay for the past year and a half. I've been seeing a therapist, started taking antidepressants, and I've grown so much, and I feel like I've outgrown him. How do you process something like this? We are in couples therapy right now, but I'm not even sure I want to continue because it's more than the lack of communication. I don't love him as a husband anymore.
Yeah, that's tough. People don't always grow in the same direction. You know, they change and they grow apart. And sometimes somebody who used to be a good match for you isn't anymore. And if you're really feeling like you're done and there's nothing that can save the relationship, then it's probably time to move on and, you know, not string him along, not delay the pain for everybody, and just move forward. And that's kind of when you know that it's right to divorce, when you really, you know, you're not on the fence anymore. You just know deep down this is what I need, and your body kind of tells you.
All right, so that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for joining us on the Modern Divorce Podcast, and see you next week.